Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, and Wizards of the Coast got us all a lovely Valentine's Day gift. They just banned Nexus of Fate from all Arena standard formats. Although, maybe I should read this because this seems to be contradictory if I'm understanding this correctly. So, Nexus of Fate is banned in Arena standard formats. Nexus of Fate is not banned in traditional or specialty formats. Well, traditional is code for best of 3, but they said all Arena standard formats, and best of 3 constructed is a standard format. So, clear as day there, Wizards. Now, if you're wondering yourself, wasn't the next banner restricted announcement on March 11th, 2019? What a fun surprise. Only if you don't watch my channel, because I think in about 5 videos I said I would give them a 100% chance of doing an out-of-cycle ban of this card on just Arena. Not to mean that I'm something so special, everybody saw this coming. Everybody was saying this, except for all the elitist snobs who were like, I know the meta, I run the best deck, I watch every tournament results. And then they don't even have the skills to back it up, or the stats, or the arena ranking, or really anything. They're just a poser. Basically like the rogue deck builder type of personality. And I don't mean that in a general sense, I mean Kevin. I don't watch his channel, so maybe he was calling for this to get banned, but a lot of people like him that make content like that. They were saying, oh no, it's not a big part of the meta, it's fair, deal with it, build around it, there are ways to stop it, just counter it, just exile it, just do this, just do that. Just completely talking out their ass, not knowing how any of this works at all. I mean, it would take 10 minutes just to explain why these people are wrong, but I could just say, hey look, they banned it. There, that explains why they're wrong. How about that for the Spark Notes version? All right, so the next banner restricted announcement is actually March 11th, 2019. It always was, but this is becoming such a problem. They're losing so many customers over this that they're like, okay, screw it. So let's jump into their police report here. I mean press release. Nexus of Fate, to ban or not to ban Nexus of Fate. It's been quite the debate. No, there's really only one side of it. There's the people who know what they're talking about, which is about 99% of the community, and then there's 1% of people just absolutely talking out their ass or being contrarian because they think it's funny. I've seen a couple people in my comment section say not to ban it, but one, they all either directly or vaguely suggested that they are running it, and 2, they're just like, oh, well, one card in the meta stops it, so just play it. Oh, okay, I'll just put that in every deck I build. I'll put Unmoored Ego in my mono red deck. Yeah, I'll get right on that. Just shut up. You're too stupid to be on YouTube. So anyway, there are a lot of things to look at when deciding whether to ban a card, but ultimately it comes down to answering 2 basic questions. Now keep in mind that they said there's only 2 questions, because I know for a fact there's about 7 categories. 1, is a card, quote, too powerful? And then see if you can find out what I find hilarious about that header in this first paragraph. When it comes to determining the overall power level of a deck, that's right, not the card, the deck, there are a lot of data points we can take into consideration. We can look at the metagame to see whether it's stagnated due to a dominant strategy or if there is diversity in the deck archetypes people are playing. So that's one category. Did it rune standard? Is the deck so oppressive that it's in that nobody's playing anything else? We can also look at the deck's win rate and how other decks in the format fare when matched against it. Is it a bad matchup for other popular decks in the meta to the point where it's causing a problem? That is the second category that they consider, so we're already on 2. I mean, 3 would be, is the card just too damn powerful? But I don't know if they've ever actually banned a card for that. I mean, if anything, it would have been Scarab God. But for them to just look at a card and ban it because it's too powerful without consideration of what deck it's in and how many people are playing that deck, even I admit that would be kind of stupid, but basically they do it all the time by cutting cards during playtesting. So to say that that's a foreign concept is a little bit of a stretch as well. In other words, cards are deleted or banned or declined or whatever, not approved for print all the time before they even get out. So that is a thing. So if either of those scenarios appears to show an issue, we try to identify which cards may be pushing the deck beyond format healthy power levels. Well, just outside of Nexus of Fate, let me just say something because they completely get this wrong later in the article. Right now, look at any tournament results, jump on Arena and play 100 games, whatever. It looks like a diverse meta, but it's not. The color combinations are different, but there are 2 decks that you can play right now. It's been boiled down to 2 decks, and that's it. 60, 70, 80% control with the draw back end, in some cases, sometimes not. It's just control, 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 stop your opponent from doing everything, board wipe, board wipe, board wipe, counterspell, removal, kill, burn, kill it all, and then a tiny little narrow win con. I mean, there's a Dimir version of it, there's a Sultai version of it, there's a Jeskai version of it, there's, oh my god, like, they're all 3-color decks too, except for, like, 1. those are all the same decks. They all play virtually identical. They all have the same point. They have the same flow, same speed. Some of them share a ton of the cards, actually. So that's the one archetype you can play. The other one is absolute all-in Suicide Blitz. It's just so fast your opponent can't do anything, especially if you go first. So, I mean, you've got mono red, obviously. You've got red burn and red, like, creatures and red goblins. It's just all rush. It's all just numbers as quickly as possible. So those are all the same deck, obviously. And then there's mono white, which is what I'm playing right now. It's absolute all-in blitz, but with a life gain cushion so that you can take hits. Same damn deck, though. I mean, honestly, Johnny's Pride made his boat on par with that Steamkin Elemental. Actually, it's a little bit more powerful. And then we've got white, red, semi-mentor, but not really. Really just like Haster's Rush, 3 damage for 2 mana kind of stuff with heroic reinforcements. So it's Blitz, Blitz, and Blitz. They're all the same deck. Colors and exact cards chosen don't really matter at that point. They play identically to each other at a functional level. Now, if you were to say, okay, Merfolk Tribal with some tap control, and like Tribal Synergy dropping counters on my Merfolk, like that's a completely different deck. Like Wild Growth Explorer, that's a completely different deck. But nobody's playing that. I mean, jump on Arena in the highly competitive leagues or look at any stats from any tournament. It's just control spam garbage and turbo blitz that beats it. That's it. That's what it's devolved to. And that's what it was during Amonkhet. I mean, look at the tournament results. It was literally like 49% Teferi trash, and then it was about 49% Red Rush. And then there was, I do believe, literally one person in the top 32 running Scarab God. That was the entire tournament results. The whole thing from an entire Grand Prix. Well, that's where we are now. It just looks prettier on the surface because, oh, the colors are different. Well, the decks aren't. When people say they want to play against a high deck variety, they mean they want to play against a high variety of decks, not, oh, look at the pretty colors. Oh, look, this plays just exactly like any other one. So that seems to be in this entire article what they're completely misinterpreting. So Nexus Teferi Turbofog was the worst offender because it was like 95% control and draw, and the win con was basically just Teferi's emblem, and that's it. You were under no obligation to run Dawn of Hope or a blue mill card. It would honestly just slow down your deck. So the worst of the worst in that archetype was this one. But like I said earlier, the reason people weren't playing it at Grand Prix is because you could not finish a 50-minute round with that deck with that volume of shuffling and how many turns you would take. So if you constantly get 1-point ties, you won't make it to day 2. So that's why it was underrepresented, even though Teferi Turbofog is the best deck in the world. So if you're going to say, you're wrong, look at the GP results. Well, what did I just say? Log into Platinum or Diamond League or run any event at all on Arena and look at the number of people playing any kind of Teferi Turbofog Nexus mix. It's well above 50%. So hopefully that logically explains what they're completely missing in this entire article. So anyway, to proceed with what they're saying, Nexus of Fate doesn't really fit any of the power-based criteria for banning. Boy, is that arguable. While it made a bit of a splash leading up to Pro Tour 25th anniversary and the re-emergence of Turbofog as a standard legal deck archetype, it only appeared in 6 out of the 165 standard deck lists, which is a comically exaggerated number. There's only about 30 or 40 decks that you can reasonably play right now. So to say there's 165 kind of outlines how stupid they are at counting unique decks. So none of which made it to the top 4, which is hilarious because I've never heard the term top 4 before. The last couple ban announcements, they did top 32, top 64, and top 8. So they literally just moved the goalpost to make it not sound as bad, which is hilarious. It is so obvious. By the way, if a deck comes in 5th or comes in 3rd, there's almost no difference. That's like 1 game and 1 human being difference. 1 bad open, 1 bad mulligan decision, 1 bad draw away from being flip-flopped. You can't say that that's a real ranking. Top 32, okay. I mean, but top 4, you've got to be kidding me, Wizards. So looking at recent Grand Prix or Grand Prixes or Priuses or, oh wait, obviously, Grand Prixies. Oh yes, looking at recent Grand Prixies, the last time Nexus of Fate made it to the top 8, which they just moved the goalpost again since the last sentence, was in the hands of Eric Froelich during GP Los Angeles back in August. There you go. Unequivocal proof that it can win a GP if, I guess, you're Eric and can shuffle really quickly. I don't know, I didn't watch the footage. There probably was no footage. With the release of Guilds of Ravnica and the rotation of both Kaladesh and Amonkhet blocks, we saw the meta shape itself. Yeah, they went to Nexus of Fate no win con instead of Approach of the Second Sun. It's the same damn deck. And they added Turbofog, which is usually a good indicator of a healthy format. Yeah, but you're reading diversity completely wrong. So Nexus of Fate still had a place in a few control decks, but it was by no means dominating the format. Well, yeah, back then, I mean, I guess it depends what stats you're looking at, what platform, but it did dip a bit. And like in recent weeks, it's been going into like Simic ramp without Teferi at all. And just like gates, 5 gates, people were running it because why not? Like it has become a big problem lately, and they never addressed that in the entire article. So that's great. Well, that's probably because they made this decision like a week or two ago, actually, from what I understand. So Standard has continued to be a diverse play environment supporting a number of archetypes, not exact decks, archetypes, like overall strategies and counterplay between them. No, there's 2, and this is the biggest lie in the entire article. Just a bold-faced, blatant misrepresentation of the truth to anybody reading this. Despite all this, Nexus of Fate continued to be a hot topic of discussion, particularly when it came to MTG Arena. We've talked about it, we've seen our pro players talk about it, yeah, even they were talking about it, and we've seen our community talk about it. Wow, I thought you just put your fingers in your ears and go, nah, we can't hear you. And by the way, that was a bit of like a metaphor or hyperbole. What they actually do is just literally block you on social media. Since most of the conversation had very little to do with its overall power level, this brings us to the next question we try to address when we consider banning a card. Really? Because I took issue with the power level. As soon as they got 30 cards in their deck, it was over. And boy, did they have the draw, install, and board wipe and control and removal power to do it, to get to turn, well, not turn 30, obviously, but to get that far. So yeah, the deck was virtually unbeatable. You swing, oh, you get fogged. You try and cast something to do anything, it gets countered. Oh, you finally get a permanent to resolve? Cool, it's gone, it's exiled. I mean, that deck can't be beaten except by Red Rush. It's that simple. That's the only deck that can beat it. Nothing else can beat it. Nothing even comes close. So really, yeah, you should be considering the power level, you idiots. So their number 2 point, even though they outlined like the first 4 categories, their number 2 is the card disrupting normal play? This is admittedly a rather subjective criterion, and is one of the reasons why we've thought long and hard about how we wanted to address Nexus of Fate. Okay, let me simplify this for you. It's actually, they're making a lot more out of this than there really is. Is a card or a deck making people stop playing Arena? If the answer is yes, get rid of it. Wow, that was so difficult, complicated, complex, and nuanced. Do you want customers? Then get rid of what is driving them away. Wow, that was so difficult, you guys. How did they ever come to this conclusion? They must have had a whole panel of research scientists. I mean, the one thing that just flies over their head constantly is, and look at this article, Grand Prix, pro level, the community, streamers, that's all we listen to, social media, that's all we listen to. Grand Prix this stat, Grand Prix that stat, oh, deck percentages at the Grand Prix. Okay, cool. What's F&M attendance doing? Because that's 99.9% of your customers is F&M attendance. If people are going to F&M and getting crushed by any control-y archetype and they're like, this isn't fun, I'm not having fun playing this, I'm going to stop showing up, stores will close, you don't sell anything to those people from then on, you lose money in your game and your company die. Just ask Hearthstone what happens when overpowered crap is in the game and they don't do anything to address it. That is single-handedly currently killing Hearthstone right this second. So when they say disruptive to play, do they mean people are pissed off and they don't want to play Magic? Or do they mean like, well, they literally reference eggs, so I'm going to give away the answer to this right now. At a functional level, is it breaking rules or taking like eggs too long to take a turn? Well, by disruptive, they mean functional play. They don't give a crap if anybody playing Magic is having a good time or having fun. That is so off their radar, and they're just astonished that F&M attendance is down the toilet. The fact that these elitist idiots only know what a GP is and they've never even heard of F&M apparently, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm astonished that they can't figure out why people were leaving their games in huge amounts over the last 2 years. I mean, their answer to it is like, who cares? They're probably white males. Good riddance. They do not know how to run a business and make a product that customers want at all. It's like StarCraft 2. They don't know how to make a game fun. They just know how to balance it for the top, and they don't really know what fun even is. So the funny thing is, they say this isn't the first time we've taken into consideration the disruption of normal play when it came to determining whether a card warranted a ban. So the example they give is Eggs, the Eggs deck, which is probably the most prolific example of this, but that was purely, it was ruining GPs and making them run like 3 hours late. That wasn't just, oh, people were annoyed by it, like the deck did not work. It broke Magic. People taking like a 30-minute turn, you couldn't let that go on. They didn't even have an option. They had to ban it. The other ones I can think of are Shahrazad, which makes you play a sub-game of Magic, literally the same exact thing, and they banned it. And I think, was it Goblin Games, the other card that does the exact same thing? And those are the only examples I can think of where they banned a card just for being too disruptive. But they give the examples of Aetherworks Marvel, which was banned almost exclusively because of its win rate and its sideboard capabilities. They mentioned in the ban article that it didn't feel good to have a turn 4 Ulamog, but then they immediately followed it up with, oh, but this only happens like 9% of the time. They had the exact math done about how often you could pull that off. Then in basically the next sentence, they wrote it off as an insignificant factor and then went on to say it just wins too much because it's too fast, too consistent, it never fails to draw what it needs, it's too many colors, and the sideboard can fix anything. That's why we're banning it. It had nothing to do with disrupting normal play at all. And then the second one they give, get this, Krurk Clan Ironworks. What the hell? Oh no, it makes people call a judge because can they really do this at this speed while this is on the stack? That's about it for disruptive play. Other than that, the deck couldn't be beaten, nothing could shut it down, and it constantly won on turn 3 from what I heard. They 100% banned it because it's unstoppable and because, well, just power level. It's just power level, period. It was too fast, too early, too consistent, and just too good. 0% of banning that card had to do with disrupting normal play or community opinion of it at all. So those two examples are complete and utter bullshit. As anyone who's been looped by a Nexus of Fate can attest, the card can easily and significantly disrupt normal play. So once again, they're going back to functional rules, Shahar sitting there for an hour and a half hitting the spacebar. That's what they're referencing, not, oh, it's annoying to have somebody take 6 turns in a row. And in fact, they're not even referencing the condition of, oh, the game's basically over and your opponent gets to do nothing but watch you play Magic past about 30 cards left in the deck. They are specifically talking about having 4 cards left in your library and all of them are Nexus of Fate. That is what they're specifically referencing in this entire section, just FYI. The tricky thing with this situation is what makes Nexus of Fate frustrating. A combination of its design, yeah, not exiling it, you idiots. It's an unwritten rule that extra turns get exiled. And how technology handles the ability to repeat actions. Which, oh my god, I don't even want to get into how stupid that is. You typically don't run into the same situations in tabletop because our rules do allow for certain shortcuts. See, that's the thing. That's not even the right terminology. What they mean is if you get down to nothing but Nexus in your library and you can't actually win the game, you will be disqualified by a judge. Recurring infinite loops that don't have a response from your opponent, you have to say how many it's looping, and you're not allowed to do something non-constructive and non-progressive more than once in a row at all. But that has nothing to do with, well, my opponent has 20 cards left in his deck, and he has Search for Azcanta flipped and Teferi and a Chemister's Insight sitting in exile. Cool, the game's over. That's the condition people should be addressing. I have never, in the history of Arena, seen somebody get down to just 4 Nexuses in their deck. Never had it happen. Not even one time, and I've probably played 1,000 games. So for them to be like, well, that's the reason, oh yeah, all the times that happens, I know you were thoroughly embarrassed by Shahar having to deal with that crap in front of thousands of people and then have it shown to like 100,000 people on YouTube and Reddit. I'm sure that was a black eye for your dumbasses in card design and playtesting, but to say that that's the reason this is banned is ridiculous. So anyway, they even go on to say, when looping a sequence in tabletop, if both players mutually understand what's going on, it's okay to fast forward until the loop is broken. Does not even apply in this case. That rule they just referenced has nothing to do with playing Nexus in your deck at all. They still have to draw, they still have to activate Teferi's thing, they still have to tap Azcanta. You can't just tell your opponent that's what's going to happen and, oh, mathematically, I'll probably pull another Nexus. No, you have to actually prove it. So you still get to sit there in paper or digital and watch your opponent play 10 turns in a row because they legally, according to the game rules, have to actually play it out. So like I said, they're only addressing with this entire section when you run out of cards except for Nexus, even though that never happens. So they go on to say, worst case scenario, players in competitive play can also call over a judge to keep a stalled game moving. That's one way to phrase it, more like DQ your opponent for breaking the rules. The same cannot be said for digital environments, where you must explicitly identify each game choice every time you wish to make it. So good on you for almost admitting you programmed Arena wrong and had it not follow the rules. But honestly, I think up until pretty recently, would let you, at a negative life total, pay life. That is against a very basic game rule. You can lose life, but you cannot pay life as part of a cost when you have less than, either less than 1 or less than 0. See, even I don't know the damn rule. So, shocker, Arena doesn't represent the actual rules in their entirety, especially the obscure rules. Wow, I didn't know that, not. So you can't call over the game's rule engine to explain the situation so you can skip ahead, or to issue a ruling on whether the actions taken could be considered stalling or slow play. In parentheses, at least not yet. That's awesome. Maybe they should implement Clippy from Microsoft Word 97. Just call up Clippy and be like, he's stalling, and Clippy will just be like, that's it, DQ. It makes me sick to even just read this, that they think, oh, well, an infinite loop and a rules technicality is why we're banning it. No, you should ban it because it's toxic, freaking unbeatable AIDS. The only reason people play it on Arena heavier than GPs is because it shuffles for them. That is a fact. Deck's obnoxious as shit, it's unbeatable, and it needs to go. It represents a ridiculously above 50% of the competitive meta at the highest possible competitive levels, and it's pushed the entire format to run Red Rush or lose. That is why it should be gone, not any of the bullshit in this entire section. So part of the challenge with these kinds of loops is that even if we manage to win the digital arms race to force the game to concede when the game states remain unchanged, they could still be disruptive to what we consider normal play. Using Nexus of Fate as an example, win conditions sometimes take a half hour or more to finish, with the majority of all that time being non-interactive. Holy shit, they finally admitted that it's just impossible to play against, it's not fun, it's stupid, and I swear anybody in my comment section that leaves, well then concede. Why don't their opponents just concede? Why let them play it out? Because fuck my opponent, fuck that deck, I'm not gonna give them a free win. If they want to take 60 fucking minutes to get one stupid win on Arena, then woo, I'm gonna hit the spacebar and watch Netflix, because fuck you and fuck that deck. That's why I don't just concede. Oh, just get out of the way of the elitist pros. Oh, you're wasting their precious time. They're trying to qualify for Mythic and you're being obstructive. Fuck them, fuck that deck, fuck Nexus, and fuck you for leaving that comment. There, is that a proper response? Does that clear it right up in your head about 1% of the dumb fucks in my comment section? So this said, there are also cases where Nexus sees play and resolves games in a non-disruptive fashion, which is why banning it has been debated for so long. Yeah, sometimes they have Dawn of Hope or a blue mill spell. Wow, it's all better now. Fuck you, Wizards, that's not even a reason not to ban it, just fuck off. So for now, to reduce play disruptions, we've decided to ban Nexus of Fate and MTG Arena in Arena Standard Best of 1 formats, Play, Ranked Play, and the Constructed event. We're leaving it unbanned in all traditional Best of 3 formats. Okay, so I guess that first line up there was completely incorrect. In case you forgot what they actually said, Nexus of Fate is banned in Arena Standard formats. Period. You know, implying all of them. But I guess they changed their minds and it's still legal in Best of 3, which gives people even less reason to play Best of 3. Oh, but you can sideboard in counter spells and Unmoored Ego. Fuck off. Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to play my mono white deck. I'm not obligated to play blue white and then sideboard and play Best of 3 just to shut down Nexus. So just shut your stupid face. So, traditional formats. In many ways, this is a continuation of the discussion we began at the end of January. Because it bears repeating, we'll say it again, it has always been the plan of MTG Arena to provide an authentic digital Magic experience. Well, you can shuffle in 1 millisecond and Nexus is still going to be AIDS and Best of 3s, so guess you failed at that one. So we're sticking to that plan. This includes Best of 3 format sideboarding and an authentic to tabletop banned and restricted list. As such, Nexus of Fate will still be playable in all other events and formats, including the traditional constructed event and traditional ranked queue. Hey, fun fact, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same ranking that you get if you play Best of 1. They're not 2 different rankings. So people can still play this degenerate, unbeatable shit with the tiny chance of getting sideboarded into oblivion, as if Unmoored Ego would ever resolve after a Teferi loop deck actually sideboards in less removal and more counterspells. Good fucking luck with that. So they're just going to continue to dominate the upper ranks of Mythic, and you're never going to get there because of it. So that's great. That being said, we will continue to work on ways we can improve how MTG Arena handles cards like Nexus of Fate and other combo-based interactions in general. Boy, there's nothing better than hitting the spacebar for 45 minutes until your opponent dies of old age. Oh, and then they suddenly get Weekend at Bernie's resurrected to play 2 more games. Yeah, leave it unbanned in best of 3. That's a great fucking idea. Do I really need to spell it out for you guys, or have you figured this out? When you're playing best of 3, the first game is best of 1. There is no discernible difference. So if this was really, really broken and degenerate, it would cost 30-minute rounds, but oh, sideboarding will fix it. The first fucking game in the round is still best of 1. You still don't know what they're playing and have no opportunity to sideboard, you fucking morons. So you're still gonna get people infinite looping it, and you're still not gonna be able to deal with it, and you're still gonna be playing 30-minute fucking games. Whatever, I don't waste my time with best of 3, and I'm definitely not going to waste my time with it, even though I'm quite good at sideboarding, because Nexus of Fate is still legal. So fuck that card and fuck best of 3. So don't worry, we are mindful that much of the frustration surrounding Nexus of Fate comes from unenjoyable games and subpar viewing experiences. Well, at least they finally fucking admit it, and not the overall power level of the card or complexity with rules interactions. No, it's the power level, it's the win rate. Beyond that, we're going to be working with our digital game security and business intelligence teams to better identify those players we believe are purposely abusing these loops. Witch King, his username was Witch King. Oh, look at me, I'm helping the digital game security and business intelligence team. Give me a gold star, wizards. As we enter the world of MTG Arena Mythic Championships, where there's a buttload of money on the line, even though the game crashes still once in a while, and that'll go well, and it's technically still in beta. Oh, I might just have added that line. Our goal is to enforce the same rules and procedures you should expect in a competitive environment to a greater degree, which includes infractions for unsporting conduct. I believe the term is unsportsmanlike conduct, but that would have the word man in it, so they just made up their own word. And slow play. Some of you may have seen evidence of this already, and you should expect to see more of it going forward. No, I have never seen one of my time-stalling asshole opponents have anything happen to them ever. So, you know, maybe quit lying to us. I guess they're literally referring to Witch King, who probably just got up and left to go to work and then, oh, got a 2-hour ban, didn't even know that he got a 2-hour ban and logged in later that evening. A note on timing. When it comes to future banning and restrictions, we intend to follow the cadence set forward by Wizards' play design team for both traditional formats and Arena Standard whenever possible. Well, it's not possible because you fucking morons should have banned it the last time there was a ban and restricted announcement. Although, why the hell is there a ban and restricted announcement for Standard the day before a set comes out and shakes everything up in the meta? Who the fuck put a ban and restricted announcement there anyway? Shouldn't it be, you know, 4 to 6 weeks after the release of a set? Like, for example, right fucking now? Maybe you should schedule a ban and restricted announcement right in the middle of things getting settled into what decks are popular and what aren't. Oh, and by the way, in case you're not convinced that I'm psychic at this point, players who had Nexus of Fate as part of their in-game collection on MTG Arena prior to this announcement will receive an equal number of mythic rare wildcards to their collection as part of today's update. Called it, word for word called it. These additional mythic rare wildcards will be automatically added to player collections, and there will be no in-game notification of this grant. We have also updated the core set 2019 in-game store bundles that previously included Nexus of Fate, really? Oh, I get it, like when you actually buy them. I thought they meant like when you open a booster, because no, you couldn't get it that way. Anyway, players will now receive a copy of Omniscience instead. So the new Buy a Box promo for Core Set 2019 is Omniscience. Almost as degenerate as Nexus of Fate, to be perfectly honest. Your opponent never takes another turn as long as they live, or none of your spells cost anything. I mean, pretty much a toss-up in my opinion. I went up against an Omniscience deck last week, and the guy cast literally his entire deck. The whole thing. But they do say that you can still redeem mythic rare wildcards for Nexus of Fate to play non-Arena Standard formats. What they didn't mention is, do you actually get to keep your copies of Nexus of Fate, or did they just confiscate them from everyone? I'm gonna guess they reimbursed you with the mythic wildcard and let you keep Nexus of Fate. Oh, and also, if that last statement applies to you, fuck you, you're part of the problem. I should probably just uninstall Arena, because fuck you for getting 4 of those. You're an asshole. A note on constructed events, because this announcement just won't die. If you were participating in a constructed event using a deck that included Nexus of Fate prior to today's update, you will still be able to complete the event with your current deck. Please note that your deck will be flagged as invalid because of the ban. However, this will not prevent you from finishing a previously entered event. Once the event finishes, you will no longer be able to submit decks that contain Nexus of Fate. As a reminder, this ban is for Arena standard formats only. They said it again. Traditional formats, including traditional constructed event, will still allow for deck lists that include Nexus of Fate. Somebody tell them that best of 3 traditional is a standard format. What the fuck do they think it is? Modern? Freeform? What the actual fuck? That's the stupidest sentence in this whole fucking article. Well, I guess I've been going to F&M and not playing standard. I had no idea. Anyway, that's it for this pile of bullshit. I mean, yeah, they took the right action, but obviously either Teferi or Azcanta should have been banned as well. Or I guess, oh boy, it's hard to say, but I would say probably between Teferi, Azcanta, and that green untap your lands every fucking turn, one of the 3 of them should have been banned bare minimum. Because even with Nexus gone, you can still do some pretty fucked up shit with that. Oh, and here's a little cherry on top of this shit sundae for you. You can infinitely loop Teferi. If the last card in your library is Teferi, you can still infinitely loop it and stall the game out forever. You just bring him out, bounce him back to hand with his own ability, and then draw him at the next upkeep. So they actually didn't fix a damn thing. I mean, your opponent gets to take turns, but like, clearly that deck has already shut them down if you're down to 0 cards left in your library. I don't think your opponent has much of a win condition if they haven't won by like turn 40 at that point, okay? So that'll just cheer you right on up, but at least we don't have to deal with this bullshit on Arena anymore. Unfortunately, we still have to deal with the other 12 decks all running control, draw, spam shit. So the entire logic behind this article is just skewed, incorrect, misrepresenting reality, and proof that Wizards doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. But the real best part about this ban was never mentioned anywhere in this article. 5 Gates can no longer play it, and Simic Ramp can no longer play it. That's actually what I'm the most happy about, because those decks defended better against a white or red Blitz. I mean, they were more beatable in a general sense against every deck archetype imaginable, but they were very, very tough against the top decks. So what do you think of the ban? If you are all for it, great, you are an intelligent person. If you are against it, I will immediately and unequivocally ban you from my comment section for life because you are clearly too stupid and clueless to participate in anything that even resembles a Magic the Gathering social community. I hope anybody who put all their money into this one deck has been playing it for the last couple months quits Arena forever. You deserve it. And I also hope that they can check the backlog of server and player logs and ban anybody who looped it. Looks like it's going to take me about 1 to 2 weeks, by the way, to blow through Diamond and make it to Mythic. And then I can start trolling Jeff Hooglin specifically with my white life gain deck, because all he ever plays is Red Rush. That'll be fun. Maybe I'll top 8 it too. That would be an entertaining scenario right there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time Wizards starts talking out their ass.